I have a bone to pick with you about what you've done.
I didn't do this.
Look at what you. I had no idea that you were this guy. Now I'm not putting any value judgments on what that guy means, but you are now that guy. You're the guy who has this.
I just went crazy, basically, and I didn't know it was going to cost as much as it did.
You have like a spacescape up here and some mountains.
Yeah. Oh,
there's some bears.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
there's some bears
in particular,
on the other
like
side.
this part right here.
And go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the second episode of Beer and Board Games Meet the Guests. I am here with Brandon Biggins, also known as Brandon Jensen. How you doing? How you doing?
How's it going?
It's going good. It's going good. That's my first real question for the interview is how are things? How are you holding up? The world is not a normal place right now.
It isn't. Today it's crashing and terribly depressing, but usually it's amazing.
Yeah? Have you been enjoying your time at home? You're getting stuff done or?
Well, I love my cats.
Oh, okay. That's
I try to
always a
keep
plus.
creative.
Yeah, I have 3 dogs, and they're like one of the only things that are keeping me sane right now.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, because they're always happy.
What kind of dogs are they?
I have a yellow lab, a black lab, and a golden retriever. So they're all very energetic. And the golden retriever is just like she's so nice, but she's so dumb, and I love it. I wish I was as dumb as her sometimes.
The best combo.
It's like you don't even know how terrible the world is because you're just so stupid and you're just so happy.
Yeah,
The smarter you are, the more depressed you get, apparently.
yeah, that's what Kurt Cobain said.
Yeah. And look how well that turned out.
I wish I could have dogs though. My apartment only allows cats.
Yeah, that's a lot of apartment buildings. Some places will let you have like little tiny dogs. I'm like, I'd rather not have a dog at all if you're going to make me get a Yorkie or a Shih Tzu. I would get nervous because they're so tiny. I feel like walking them, I would have to be on constant alert that someone doesn't step on it.
Yeah. Yeah, you can have a dog in here as long as it's a cat or a hamster. That's the rules.
We had guinea pigs in my house once. It was like, they're so boring. Hamsters and guinea pigs, like what you just like hold them and they just kind of sit there. They don't really do anything. I don't know why people keep rodents as pets. It just seems like something to have on the shelf that you feed every day and you just kind of leave it there.
They're not entertaining unless they're in a wheel or you poke them.
Yeah. They make sense in a classroom because they're just like easy to take care of. But at the same time, I've heard horror stories of like kids like stepping on and squishing the class guinea pigs because kids are very irresponsible. Yeah, that would be pretty scarring.
That's worse than watching somebody get shot in the back.
It's worse than a snuff film.
Oh man, yeah, for sure worse than a snuff film.
So let's get started. Let's talk a bit about Blame Society and Beer and Board Games. So how did you first meet Matt and Aaron? Did you meet one of them before the other, or was it like part of Monkey Business or something along those lines?
It was Monkey Business Institute. I was actually living in Randolph, Wisconsin at the time. It was like 7 years ago, I think, or 20.
They're pretty similar, 7 and 20.
Yeah, I was just teaching music, like K through 12 music, and it was like extremely stressful. And I just thought I need to do improv.
Was that at a public school, or did you have like a side business?
It was at a public school.
Okay.
That was like my 24/7 job. And when I was growing up, my friends were like, "Hey, you should do improv," and I was like, "Yeah, okay," and make millions of dollars. But it wasn't
dollars on improv.
Yeah.
Who were your friends?
Yeah. So I just Googled improv, and Madison was the closest place. And there were 2 companies, Atlas and Monkey Business Institute. So I looked up Monkey Business Institute, and I found Chad Vader and Brad Knight and all that. And I was like, oh, well, I'm just going to take improv classes with these guys because that shit's pretty awesome.
I was
And
talking to Jason last night because he started that originally with Brad. And he was telling me the story
Yeah.
about how they started a comedy sports, and that kind of imploded, and then him and Brad started Monkey Business. But I didn't know this, but Brad was actually Jason's teacher for improv starting off, which I thought was pretty cool because I always assumed that everyone was kind of on the same level, but Brad was really, and Jess Shucknick were the two like ringleaders of everybody.
yeah, those guys were in like there was a comedy sports in Madison.
Yeah, that was the one they were in, and that kind of just fizzled out.
Yeah, and
I
so
think,
that two improv companies in Madison. And Brad's kind of like he's still like the owner and like the guru. He's like the
Yeah.
of Monkey Business.
If you go on the website, there's a big group photo, and he's right dead center.
Yeah, he used to be a lot skinnier.
I'm sure he'll love hearing that. I'm having him on in a couple of weeks, and I'll make sure that he saw your episode so we can talk about that. So, Brad, I want to start off. Brandon said you used to be a lot skinnier. What happened?
But I haven't seen him in like since COVID started. So he might look like a centipede.
Skeleton, yeah. Oh my God. It's nice that you have such nice things to say about your friends, though. Like, I wish that my friends were like, you know what, Mitchell used to be a lot skinnier. I love you.
Well, you can't. It's different for guys. I mean,
oh yeah, absolutely.
You can't say that to your women friends.
No,
Well,
no.
I mean,
They'll say it to you, and you're like, nah. The other day, my best friend was like, I'm keeping up with appearances and looking like a homeless lesbian. I'm like, nah, you look like a regular lesbian.
Oh, shucks.
Yeah. So you met Matt and Aaron through Monkey Business. Were they some of the first people you met, or did you meet them in proximity to like meeting someone like Dylan or Sheila, and then kind of through osmosis, or was it part of?
Oh, I knew Dylan.
Business?
Actually, Dylan was partly he recommended me to Monkey Business because we did this like failed pilot series when I was in college at Whitewater. I think it was called like Slightly Different or something.
Right.
I went through like two directors, and who knows where it went. Nobody saw the finished pilot.
I also did a failed pilot in college.
Yeah,
it was great. We had one director, and like my suite mates were the actors, and then everyone kind of gave up after a couple weeks, and I'm like, all right, well, I'll just do something else, I guess.
Yeah, and that was kind of how I met Dylan. It was like a project like that, and I remember talking to him outside about improv, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm thinking about doing improv," and I think I mentioned Atlas, and he was like, "Nah, it's too formulaic." It's just something like that, and then he.
It's a really good Dylan impression. So I'm assuming you were in college, but he had already been out because he went to college in Baltimore, I think.
Yeah, yeah. We didn't. I don't know where did. He even go to college?
Yeah.
I don't even think he went to elementary school. Was he homeschooled?
It seems like it sometimes because it doesn't seem like the dyslexia was ever addressed until he got on Beard Board Games, and Matt was like, you have a problem, right? Like you can't say words and you can't read words, but you're a journalist. I don't know how you slipped by without people noticing this.
How do you read?
How do you read? Exactly. So then after joining Monkey Business, how long after joining were they like, hey, we're missing a person for Beer and Board Games. Can you show up?
Well, the first time I was on was with Sheila. I don't remember how long ago it was.
It's like 5 years ago, I think. It's been a while. Longer than I thought it had been.
Yeah, I was like it was like we played Paranormal Activity or something.
You played a paranormal trivia game and Ring Around the Nosy.
Oh yeah.
With the elephant glasses.
Right. Which
So
that was a good contrast of games. Like
they try to mix
Paranormal,
it up.
it was like nobody knew anything about the game,
Oh
and then
yeah,
all
and the questions were so hard. Like, who would ever know this?
But yeah, I met Sheila through Monkey Business as well, and Sheila knew Brad and those.
Yeah, Sheila's kind of like, she seems like such a bubbly person. I wanted to ask like what's like being in a room with her, because from what I've heard, she doesn't act like women normally act based on multiple comments.
Yeah, I haven't seen her for a long time, but there is definitely physical contact.
Yeah, I've heard. And she's actually really good at making songs up off the top of her head. She's really good at rhyming, and she's really good at like doing parody songs. Like, I'm actually very impressed with her ability.
Yeah, she's very musically inclined. Talent inclined.
Talent inclined.
Yeah.
And I guess that you two have that in common, so to speak. I don't know if you consider yourself a musician, but
Not yet.
not yet.
Not yet.
You haven't trashed enough hotel rooms?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I haven't done enough drugs yet to be considered.
There are musicians who don't take drugs.
Kurt Cobain,
Yeah.
Lenny Kravitz.
Wait a minute. Didn't Kurt Cobain have like a huge heroin problem?
Yeah. Yeah, that wasn't a good example.
That was like the worst example. Plenty of presidents haven't been assassinated. JFK, Abraham Lincoln,
And Donald.
one, and oh.
Wouldn't that be crazy if it happened like just at that moment?
Oh my God, that would be like, you'd have to like call up one of those ESP organizations, like, hey, something weird just happened. And I bet you don't get calls about this ever.
Call up Alex Jones. You shouldn't have taken off your tinfoil hat because
they got you.
And we'd already be arrested.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because you know that Secret Service, they're watching stuff like this constantly. My interview with Jason, I was just editing it before. It started at an hour and a half. I'm down to an hour and 18 minutes. I just have nothing to cut. It was such a good discussion.
You can do so many impressions. It's like,
oh yeah, and we talked a lot about how he got started. I did lots of digging on his personal life. I tried to do that for you too, but all I had access to was your Facebook. So there wasn't much to go on, but I think I have some questions here that you'll be like, oh, cool. He actually looked me up and isn't just going to ask me, you know, what's it like to have Matt yell at you? Which I imagine it's about as fun as having someone yell at you.
Well, it's way better if it's Matt, though, in my opinion.
Yeah, I do have some questions about that later on, so we'll get to that. But question number 2, let's get to the big one. So you were in jail. What was that all about?
Yeah, I was a couple times.
A couple times?
Yeah. The first time was actually for meth possession.
Oh my goodness.
And they arrested me for heroin possession, which actually was not in my apartment at the time. I was having a panic attack, so I called 911, and they raided my apartment when I was in the hospital. And I had all sorts of fun stuff there. Like I never did meth, but it was inside my apartment. There was like, they found 0.7 grams of it was meth. And like, you know, I had people over, and like
people just left stuff.
Yeah, it was, and they just found it. Like the initial charge was like they found weed, they found MDMA that was in my closet, and it had been there for like a year, and they found some meth. They dropped all of the charges except for the meth charge. The
thing that wasn't yours.
Yeah. And and that's how I went to jail. But they arrested me the next day because they said that their field test tested positive for heroin. So I went to jail. I went to jail for a night, and I was living in Jefferson County in Wisconsin. It's the worst place to go to jail. But the second time was when I actually deserved to go to jail. I was on my way home from playing at the piano bar in Madison, and I was speeding. So they pulled me over, and I was drunk, and then they were like, "Oh, well, this guy's got a felony," and so that's when I was in jail for like 2 months
Okay. Because
because I was on probation.
it always makes it. They always make it out to be like you were in jail for like a year and a half or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, and of course I'm white, so white people always get pulled over by the cops.
Oh, absolutely. Especially in a place like Wisconsin, where there's only like 5 white people per capita.
It
So
is
was
very.
your
Yes.
so was your apartment kind of like the party apartment, and people just like leave stuff there for the next time they came over?
Well, it was. I lived in Lake Mills, and I was a music teacher.
Okay.
And Lake Mills is a pretty small town. It's like half hour east of Madison, and like it was. I mean, like yeah, it kind of was. If anybody was in Lake Mills, like they were in my apartment.
Right.
It had
It's
like
like if
two.
anyone came into town, like, hey, where do I get some meth around here? Like, well, you get it over there, but if you want to do it, you got to go to Brandon's place.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's kind of what it was like, and I don't I don't do meth, but
Yeah, no, you don't seem like the meth type.
like I don't have a reason to. I have a prescription to Vyvanse because I
Oh
have ADHD.
yeah, yeah.
So smoking meth is like, to me, it's like having a heart attack. There's no
Oh
appeal.
yeah. I was on ADHD meds from 7 to 23, and people would offer me coke. Like, I'm good. I am so good. I do not want to have a heart attack. I can barely handle coffee.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, I can barely have one cup of coffee anymore. It's like it. So, but yeah,
When were
that.
you when were you
I
diagnosed
remember
with the
the name.
ADHD?
What's that?
When were you diagnosed with the ADHD?
Actually, not even until I was in my 20s.
Oh wow.
I I kind of was when I was in like first, second grade, but my parents didn't want to put me on meds, which I am kind of thankful for.
Yeah, it's a really tough decision to make because I was on them at a young age, and I'm not on them anymore because I would get panic attacks because I just kind of like people can outgrow ADHD. Like 40% of people have it, eventually outgrow it, but I never learned how to focus without it. So then I'm like, fuck, I don't have something that's making me shove my face into a book. Now I actually have to do it because I want to.
Yeah, yeah. And so my grades were horrible, but I wasn't on drugs until third grade.
like like
Um,
like medication drugs, or you just like someone's like, hey, it's third grade, now you start smoking crack?
No, I didn't do any. I didn't try anything until I was like 13, 14.
Okay. Yeah.
I think 14 was the first time I tried weed. Don't
Like,
let
fuck
anybody
it.
bring meth into your place, and then you'll be fine.
I'm in New Jersey. There isn't much meth around here.
Are you in the Hoboken area?
I'm like 20 minutes from Hoboken.
Oh, I know a guy. No,
You know. Have you ever been to Hoboken, or you've just heard of it?
I have. I have been in that area. I was there about a year ago, actually, with my
It's
ex.
a
It
it's
was
a
my
really
ex.
nice it's a really nice town. Like for partying, like you'd be surprised. It's kind of like a mini New York City.
It's got the cheapest Airbnbs
I've heard that from
in
you
New York
just now.
City.
And the Cake Boss has a shop. That's where his shop is. It's in Hoboken.
Oh yeah, yeah. How often do you go over to NYC?
Um, Not very often. I like a lot of my friends would go as kids. I would go to concerts. I was into a lot of like post-hardcore bands, and they would always play at the Bowery Ballroom or I think Bowery and what was the other one? Webster Hall in the Village. But I honestly I avoid that place like the plague. My dad works in New York City, but I mean obviously we haven't been in a while. But I hate New York City so much. I'm a suburb boy. I don't like the fact that Penn Station always smells like urine. I don't
Oh
like
yeah.
the fact that every subway smells like urine. It just seems like a miserable place. And I know people who are like, I love it. I love walking around in New York. I'm like, why? It smells and everyone looks miserable.
That was the only thing I liked about it when I was there. That's why I always pissed my pants. Now.
Oh, in the trains, like, oh man, no one's even gonna notice. Like, if I piss my pants right now, I could just say the homeless guy pissed my pants, and people will just be like, "That's typical New York crazy." They won't even give. You could do the craziest shit in New York City, and people do not care.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not surprised Eric Andre does all of his pranks there because people are just like, "Oh, this is just more New York bullshit."
Oh, he was supposed to come out with a new season, wasn't
It's coming out. It was supposed to come out this summer, but then it got delayed because of COVID. But he gained 20 pounds and shaved all of his hair off because last season he didn't bathe for an entire year and didn't cut his nails or his hair. So he always has to do something to destroy his body before interviewing people and making them feel as uncomfortable as possible.
he? Yeah. 'Cause at first, he didn't have to worry about people recognizing him.
Yeah.
Get him on their show, but now he's got to deal with like, oh, they're expecting me to fuck with them. So he's got.
He was on Hot Ones recently talking about that. And he said for like a lot of the new people, they didn't even tell them what show they were going on. Like they gave them as little information as possible. It used to be like, oh, it's a show. It's like you're gonna do like a puff piece or whatever. Now he doesn't even mention what the name of the show is. But I guess because it's good publicity, publicists are just like, I'm gonna book them. I won't tell them where they're going. Hopefully they won't fire me after me sending them there. Which I'm sure a couple publicists have gotten fired after sending their clients to the Eric Andre show.
Yeah, there's been a couple times I think.
Well, two people walked off. T.I. walked off because there were too many dicks.
And Lauren Conrad, I think.
Yeah, because he ate his own vomit, which was great. I mean, it was oatmeal, but, she didn't know that. There was a crazy person with a Cat Williams haircut running around destroying shit.
Yeah.
But I was really happy he did a fifth season. I was worried because the show got so high profile. I'm like, oh, man, I really hope he does one more season at least. So we're going to get that. I have a question about something you once said on the show, which I thought was really funny. I think it was on Game of Phones. You texted your former parole officer a picture of something, and their response was, I told you not to contact me. I need time and space. Was that a joke, or did your parole officer actually tell you that?
Oh, I didn't. That was a real response. I didn't actually text my parole officer, but I texted one of my exes, and
God. Oh my God, because I'm like, that is the funniest thing a parole officer could ever tell someone. Like, dealing with you was the most stressful thing in my life. I need time and space.
No, it wasn't a parole officer, but I did text one of my exes, and I was already blocked on Facebook, but I wasn't blocked on text, and she blocked me after that.
Well, I mean, I guess if you're gonna text someone a random picture, it might as well be someone you don't plan on talking to ever again, right?
Yeah. So it worked out great.
But I love the way that it was edited, because you said, I'm going to text my former parole officer. The next clip is you getting a text saying, I told you to give me time and space.
Yeah. Matt does a really good job of editing that stuff together.
He really does. He's got it down to a science. I was talking to Jason about it yesterday, because the amount of nonsense that goes on that show and the drunken rambling, like he's got to be like the most patient person in the world to like shuffle through that and be like, I got to make something out of all
Yeah. Yeah, that comes with it. I mean, if you have the editing brain, like that's what you're thinking about.
Yeah.
So that's
Matt
when
actually,
that's
he
when
once
Reed
described.
comes.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was done.
Oh, okay. I feel like I'm keep interrupting you. I'm sorry. Matt once described you actually as being one of the only guests who actually watches the show. I don't really have much to ask about that. I just thought it was something nice to bring up if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, I think I am. I think me and Tony Mayer are the only ones that actually. Well, I'm pretty sure more of us watch the show, but they don't like.
Tune in regularly.
They don't know how to use technology, so they're like, I think I'm watching it. Is that me?
Who
No,
on the show is 80 years old?
no, but I do love those guys. So I watch Aaron and Matt on Blame Society, Game Society Pimps,
Yeah.
and I know that more people do, but I'm one of the only ones that actually interacts
Yeah.
and lets people know that I'm watching it, I think. But there are more people that watch it.
When they first announced the Discord, or when they first started promoting it, they're like, Brandon is on there like all the time. He's probably on there right now.
He's in the dumpster.
Oh my god, the dumpster has been crazy the past couple days. Have you been there?
Yeah, that's like one of I'm most in the dumpster. That's where I go.
It's the place I have to post stuff a lot because I'm like, I feel like it's not relevant to any place, but I want to share it with somebody.
Well, now I have an erection.
Well, if you have an erection, that will go greatly with our next point, which is what were the protests like in Madison?
Well, I was downtown right after George Floyd, and I was trying not to just be some dude with my camera, taking pictures. I knew Dion was there, and I knew Dylan was there. So I sped down there, and I was trying to actually be involved in the protest. But as soon as I showed up, I got tear gassed. Like it hit my foot, and I was just not expecting it at all.
Right.
There was nobody like there, and then I think they just maybe saw me moving too quickly toward them.
It's the protest. They don't give a crap. You were there.
Yeah, and it was like maybe they didn't really know the chemistry of what was happening because it was like the first time it happened, but it like hit me right in the foot, and I I was out for like 15 to 20 minutes, but I recovered after that, because I've had Carolina Reaper sauce.
Yeah.
And it's only a tiny bit worse than that, but it goes away.
I was actually going to ask you because I thought you got pepper sprayed, but I guess it was tear gas. So I want to know like what it's like to experience that, and like, are you debilitated for a while, or is it just kind of like it sucks for a short period of time, but then you can recover like relatively quickly afterwards?
It was actually not as bad as like I haven't eaten a Carolina Reaper, but I've had the sauce, and
Right.
sauce actually lasts longer because I think it's just because you're ingesting it.
Yeah.
But it was like maybe 5-7 minutes.
Okay.
Some other people though like fucked up off of it, and I just like looked back, and they're like my tears were coming off of my face, and I just looked back, and there's people just dumping milk on each other's faces and stuff.
Yeah. Definitely don't use water for that.
Yeah.
And
But
Dylan was basically like camped out down there. He was there every single day.
yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's there right now just waiting for another one to break out.
Oh yeah, he's probably getting ready for it.
I mean,
Yeah,
do you think he drove up to Kenosha?
No, he wasn't there. I was texting him though. When that happened, I actually watched that live. I was watching the live stream when that shooting happened.
It's just Absolutely terrible.
Yeah. And so like the past day for me, I've had a lot of anxiety because I can't. I never learned my lesson. Like I have to insult people when I see stuff on my feed.
Yeah.
I just can't help it. I just have to insult people if they're spreading misinformation or it's just like complete ignorance.
Yeah.
Like you're a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah.
I do
There's an
that.
emotional
I do that
release
to
you
like
get from it.
yeah. I do that to like 5 people, and then by the end of the day, I've blocked 20 people. It's and I never learned my lesson. It's so bad for your mental health.
Oh, it's awful. I try not to like I have this compulsion now where like if I click on the Google icon on my phone, it'll just give me news stories. And I'm just reading through and I'm getting so angry and so depressed. I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? And then I look around, I'm like, oh yeah, because I'm stuck at home and there's nothing else going on. It's the only way I can
Yeah,
interact with the outside world.
yeah. And this year is like there's so much tension,
Oh my God.
and then when people just direct it to Facebook, and you don't have to be like worry about people in person. Oh my God, it's like it's the worst combination.
There's like some studies about it that like if you don't see someone directly and you can say something to them, there's like a combination of factors that will completely make you lose your humanity. They say the same thing about when you're driving a car because you're like in this box
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
someone else is doing something to you, but you don't see their face. And that's why road rage gets so bad. But like, if you were actually to just meet one of those people, you know, and they cut you off, you probably wouldn't be nearly as mad.
Yeah.
I almost
And
got
there's the
yelled at.
nonverbal aspect of like just communication with somebody.
Yeah. I almost got yelled at the other day. It was like a really weird situation. So I was backing up my car and I have a camera in my car that like a backup camera and it'll beep if something is behind me. And I'm going back and as I'm looking back, there's like an old woman putting stuff in her trunk and she looks like she's really angry with me. And I check my camera. I'm nowhere near her, like not even close enough to hit her. And she comes over to my window about to say something to me, and for some reason she took one look at me and then just backed off, and I don't know why. She like looked like she was ready for a tirade, took one look at me, and then just was like, it's not worth it. But I'm like, I'm curious as to what I would have had to look like for her to have decided to follow through, because it was just such a bizarre situation to like, oh
You
man,
probably had
well,
to
I
be
mean,
like 3 feet tall.
yeah, 3 feet tall, or maybe a member of the minority, as she would probably say. I don't know. She was old, but she was wearing a mask, and that's, you know, I take that as I can let some people get off the hook with certain things if they're at least wearing a damn mask these days. It's such a low bar for gauging if someone is a good person, like not putting other people at risk.
Yeah. Wisconsin is filled with people that want their freedom.
Yeah,
They've
I've
gotten
noticed
better
that
about it.
Wisconsin's
Holy shit.
New Jersey is like an interesting place because South Jersey might as well just be another state. It's a completely different world down there. And then North Jersey, it's kind of like because we're so close to New York City, it's very liberal. But down south is just like a whole different world. There was a protest for it was a protest against the protest. It was a bunch of Trump people, and there was a police officer who was jokingly kneeling on his friend's neck and taunting people as they drove by. It's like that's really messed up. Like there's, you know, being a dick and that's just like just shoving like I know what they did was fucked up and I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen that around here, but if somebody did that downtown,
Yeah.
somebody would probably start beating the shit out of them.
Oh yeah. How is Madison doing right now with aside from the protests, like business wise? Um like are people doing stuff around there or is everyone still kind of like, you know, in their houses?
There, it's starting to get a little bit better, but a lot of businesses closed downtown. Um, and like to me, it's like everything shut down because everything I was doing before COVID started basically required people to be together, like lots of people. So, like, I didn't play at the uh, piano bar for like a long time because of COVID,
Right.
and they're starting up, but it's like they're doing like some sort of outdoor thing right now, and they put the pianos closer to the window.
That
But
seems like an impossible situation to navigate, though.
yeah, it's just not a good environment.
You can't
Like, that's
replicate
the worst possible
acoustics
environment.
by
Having a
having people.
having a
Yeah.
small place of drunk people that are just shouting songs is the worst possible environment to be in.
Oh yeah.
So I just was like, okay, that's not going to happen for until a vaccine or whatever. But I
I
was,
mean,
yeah.
the
The other
WHO
stuff I was
says that
doing,
it'll be over in a couple years, hopefully,
yeah.
which
If
is good to hear.
who knows what's going to happen? Maybe a vaccine. Maybe we'll all die.
I don't know. Apparently, a meteor is heading our way. It's supposed to pass us like the day before the election. So who knows?
That would be amazing.
That would be like the icing on top of the shit cake.
And then we're all going to turn into dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And then, well, actually, I don't know what's going to happen after that, but I know
feel
that.
like if that actually hit, Donald Trump, like in a twist of irony, would be the only survivor, and he would still be like shouting at dead people and like just like, we need to get all these corpses off the lawn, and there's literally nobody there, and he's just like, he hoists up cameras and like posts them just so he can talk into a camera, but nobody's watching. And he's just trying to replicate his lifestyle without anyone there to pay attention to him.
That would be the best possible scenario, actually.
Like if everyone's gonna die, I would rather him be the last person left so he could just wallow in misery and just have nobody paying attention to him.
Then when we all reincarnate, when we watch it, it's going to be fucking hilarious.
Oh my god, he will have the #1 show in the like metasphere. Everyone will be watching Donald Trump completely lose his shit. He will have the most popular show ever created, and he won't even know it. And it'll be so beautiful.
Oh yeah.
That's like classic Twilight Zone stuff.
Is the microphone picking up my chair squeaking?
A little bit, but if you could just do it a lot more, I think that people just it'll just be a part of the show.
Yeah. That's been happening the entire time, but
no, I literally just noticed it. You should probably
I've got a shotgun mic hooked up, so it shouldn't. It's supposed to be like directional, so it's only supposed to go.
That's a thumbnail right there. That's a thumbnail right there.
But that's what we were talking about, right? That was on the topic.
Yeah, shoving microphones in your mouth, totally. That was exactly what we were talking about before. I wanted to ask you about Famish, which I remembered you were in, but not like recent enough to actually watch it.
No, yeah,
yeah. I thought I'd ask you about it, and let you know that I haven't seen it, but still ask you questions about it anyway, because that's what a good interviewer does.
Yeah, I mean, it actually is. Because I haven't seen the whole movie either, and I don't think Jeff has. Yeah, I just played the bartender, and I think I only did one take, but they were trying to do it so quickly that everybody was basically 1 or 2 takes.
It was just like over a convention weekend, right?
Yeah.
And did they write it as it was happening, or did they have like a loose script and then they were just gonna move things around as things happen?
Yeah, he had a script. Yeah, it was planned out. He had a crew and a script, But I remember talking to most people that were just there for like what's in between extras and main characters, like side characters.
Yeah, side characters.
We were all side characters, like people from MBI. So I was talking to Brett off camera, and we were both like, "How many takes did you?"
Brett Hermanson.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, "How many takes did you do?" And he was like, "1." That was terrible. I'm like, "Fine." And then he was like, "How many takes did you do?" And I was like, 1, and it was not good. And he was like, "No, you were awesome." And so that's all we needed.
Yeah. Beer and board games, you only get 1 take.
Yeah, they only did 1 or 2 takes, and we were all like, "Oh man, we were fucking terrible." But with yes and just encourage.
Yes,
but they're happening so quickly that there wasn't time to, oh, let's try it this way. Let's try it this way. There wasn't any time for that. So it was like,
they had a limited window.
Yeah.
To get everything done before people started leaving, and they're like, well, we could still shoot, but it doesn't look like a convention anymore. It just looks like a fucking hurricane ran through a Marriott guest hall or something like that.
Yeah, and that's how it became not quite Godfather 3 level, but in between Godfather 2 and Godfather 3. Like 7 out of 70 stars.
Yeah, that's a good place to be, though.
Yeah.
Because at least someone watched it. At least someone gave you a review. Because if you don't get a review because no one saw it, that's probably the worst.
Oh God, yeah. Now that I think of it, Kurt Cobain was never in a movie.
I mean, he was in some music videos, and there's definitely police footage of the scene afterwards. So you can call that a movie.
Yeah, we could make it one, right?
We could make it one. We can break into I don't even know, was he in Seattle or LA, wherever he was. We can break into the local police station, grab that footage, and make something of it. We can make a Courtney Love music video or something like that.
One take wonder.
One take wonder. It only took him 1 shot.
That's a Kanye West song, right?
Is it?
I hope so.
If not, I'm sure he'll make it eventually. The guy's insane.
Kurt?
Kanye. Kurt was insane. Kanye is insane.
Yeah, he was pretty good on the Wisconsin ballot. And
oh my God.
He didn't make it in time. He's dead. He just got assassinated.
Yeah. My thing with Kanye is like he's a very, very good musician and producer, and I think he should just do that.
He's actually not even that good of a.
He has been. Like, did you listen to Kids See Ghosts with Kid Cudi?
I did a little bit.
That is really, really good.
That's good.
But like I was never a big fan of him, but I always respected like his talent because a lot of people like him. But I mean, at the same time, a lot of people like a lot of crappy things.
Yeah.
A lot of people like Dane Cook. I mean, that's an easy joke, but a lot of people really liked him.
What happened to his head? What happened to his forehead? His head just grew like 3 feet tall, and then he started dating a 12-year-old.
Well, I think it was his ego was so big it stretched out his skin. And then when he realized no one liked him anymore, he just kind of like mellowed out. And now he does talk shows or podcasts where he's like, I don't know why everyone hated me so much. You don't? You were an asshole. Like, whether you were funny or not, you were just really, really obnoxious.
Is his girlfriend still like 26, 27 or something?
I mean, I'm assuming she's aged since they started dating, but
she's 70 now. Does she age like a fine fly?
Well, he did say something once. He said that he likes high school girls because no matter how old he gets, they stay the same.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember that quote.
And McConaughey was like, "What the fuck, man?
That's supposed to be me."
That's supposed to be. I could have come up with that." This fucking asshole Dane Cook. No one's ever heard of him before. He's got a joke about Nesquik. That was his big claim to fame, was talking about Nesquik and how it doesn't mix with milk very well. And people were like,
Yeah. Remember he did like the movie theater thing. He did some good like miming stuff.
yeah.
I don't remember what the bit was where he was like talking about being in a movie theater.
Hey, even a turd can move through plumbing, smoothly.
Yeah.
Like it's still made its way to the septic tank, and it did it very gracefully. It's still shit, but it's got a nice flow to it. Oh, perfect. I was gonna ask if you can clip out your mic.
Oh, and I can't turn it off now.
Yeah, your mic totally clipped that.
Yeah,
It just got really, really quiet.
every time someone says that has a nice flow to it, I have to blow dry my hair.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair. I have a question about this missed connection you had.
Oh,
we
I
were
just
at
got
this
on the Bumble.
We were at the same bar. I was trying to convince an older guy not to be a sexist pig. He also showed undertones of racism. Did you ever find that person?
I did, and I grabbed his testicles and squeezed like there was no Tuesday to come next.
Tuesday to come next. Ooh, that's a good James Bond title. No Tuesday to come next. With Idris Elba, finally.
It was either that or Octopussy 2. And
Octopussy 2. Even more pussy. I was trying to remember what the fancy name for 16 is. I was like, dodeca? No. Do sexta pussy.
Sextica.
Sextica.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Danzig has a graphic novel called Verotica, which is violence and erotica put together. And he made a movie, and it's fucking awful.
Well, I'm gonna have to watch that now.
Yeah. It's what you would expect from like a rock star just who's friends with a bunch of pornographic actresses. Like, we'll all drink a lot, you'll put on a bunch of makeup, I'll use horrible special effects and a TV camera, and we'll just make a bunch of short films and call it a movie. And that's exactly what that fucker did.
Greg Benson's gonna have to watch that, isn't he?
Oh, totally. We should send that his way.
I watched the Twitch stream with him and Aaron
When he shat his pants.
when he threw up in the toilet.
Oh Lord.
I think he went off screen. But yeah, I was watching that. I had it on in the background, and for some reason, I got the song "Clam Bake" stuck in my head because somebody played it as like a sound bit,
Right.
and that was in my head. It's still in my head, obviously.
I wonder why clam bake.
It's like a Elvis movie from 1967.
Oh no, I know, but I'm like, I wonder why they chose clam bake.
Oh, and well, Greg danced to it, and they played it like 3 times in a row.
Oh.
Every time it was like clam bake, going out clam bake, and he'd get up and dance to it.
And then he churned up his stomach with all the alcohol in it and had to throw up.
Yeah, and that was stuck in my head for 3 days. And it still is. And now I just brought it up again, so now it's going to be stuck in my head for 3 more days.
Well, let's see if I can try to distract you from that a little bit. You once said your motto in life was not to suck less. Do you feel like you've kept to that creed?
Absolutely not. I mean, I hope so. But in ways, I have not done that at all.
And in other ways, you have.
I'm not a judge. I don't judge.
No, you are not a judge. You're not a musician, according to you. You play music professionally, but you're not a musician.
No, yeah, I haven't done enough drugs for that.
Yeah.
Because to be a professional, you have to be able to have enough money to spend on things like drugs.
You have to do everything that Nickelback sings about in their song Rockstar. If you haven't done all of those things, you are not a musician.
Well, I have done those, but only because I was just like pretending.
Oh, yeah, like just like lying in your bed, just like, yeah, all
Yeah,
that meth.
yeah. And I used to have old phones I'd pretend was like a burner phone.
Oh, yeah.
So like
Just,
every time I got a new phone, I'd carry it around and do a bit with friends where I'd pretend like I pulled out my actual phone and just like chuck it at a building or something.
oh
Just
my God.
pop effect. I used to do
Have you
shit.
have you seen Greg Benson's pranks where he does the phone thing next to someone having a phone conversation?
Yeah, I have seen that. When he goes like uh conventions and stuff.
Yeah, he's like answering the other end of the conversation. They're like, "Are you?" He's like, "I'm on the phone."
Yeah. Yeah, that was before like the Bluetooth earpiece stuff really came out. Like he did that
Yeah,
before people were doing that kind of shit.
man, the Bluetooth earpiece that didn't last very long either. No one uses Bluetooth earpieces, as far as I know.
No, they thought it looked cooler if they just put ear pods in their ears,
Yeah,
or just looked like cigarette butts, or just like hanging out of your ears.
yeah.
That's the
I
cool
knew
thing.
people with gauge piercings who would always put a cigarette through their gauge piercing,
Oh
and they
man,
thought it was really cool. And it was. It was really fucking cool.
it's not anymore though. Now it smells.
No, no, it does. Like people with gauges, like that was the one thing they would always talk about. Like, man, my gauges smell. And I'm like, I don't care. Put a fucking plug in it.
I've smelled them on people before.
Oh, they're disgusting.
It's like gingivitis, but it like times 12.
Yeah. Do you have gingivitis and you just amplified it, or
No, but I've smelled it.
yeah, just like open up someone's mouth, like "Ugh, get in there.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have a question
gingivitis is
about
pretty common.
I have a question about your childhood. Did
I was
you
never a child.
did you really have a poster of Titanic above your bed as a kid?
I did, yeah, I did. I did.
Why? What was it about that
Well,
movie
it was
that
like
made you want to see it
it was
every
on my
night
wall
before?
behind my headboard. I don't know where it is now, but I did have that. And it was when did Titanic come out? Like 94, 96 or something like that.
Maybe?
So I had that poster for at least few years.
Because when you said above your bed, I thought you meant like, like a pinup poster would be like literally above your bed. And I'm like, so was he attracted to the boat or the people? Because
It
that is a
was
set.
well, I hope I didn't jack off to it, but I'm sure I did. It came in two tapes when it came out, VHS.
It did. It was that big.
Yeah, and I was like, that was like just when I was going starting puberty,
Right.
and so it was the end of the first tape. That was when DiCaprio was
Yeah. Jerking off.
was yeah was painting Kate Winslet like one of his French girls,
Yeah.
and I'm most definitely masturbated to that because how do I remember that it was the end of the first tape when those came out?
Oh, yeah. You paused it.
Yeah,
And you're just like, oh, man. Look at that really grainy VHS. Like, look at that look at the tracking going up and down, even though the video's paused.
I have a thing for really grainy nipples though.
Yeah. Like the picture or like the feel?
or just like zooming in on a nipple until you can't even tell what it is anymore.
Oh my God, yeah.
Like you can see the pixels, you can't tell if it's pink or gray.
Dude, like my jeans can only expand so much.
So, so that yeah, that's what that was pretty much my whole childhood.
Was just jacking off to the halfway point of Titanic
Yeah,
at the end of the first tape.
yeah,
Well, I guess that explains how you ended up where you are now.
it
Pretty
does.
much it tells a whole story. I have a question about you had the baby cookies and cream stout on the show, and I want you to be honest. Did you enjoy it?
I did. I enjoy like any drinks.
Okay.
Um, especially a baby's a baby's a baby
The
cookies.
babies.
I don't like Malort that much, but
I've never had Malort. I've been wondering if I should like ask one of you guys to like send me a shampoo bottle full of Malort through the mail because I can't get it around here.
I haven't had it in a long time, but it's like licking the bottom of like an old piece of wood that had
Yeah,
varnish on it or something.
but it's like it's a rite of passage on beer and board games if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, people will buy those shots, and sometimes Aaron will whip it out. I think they do that for Game Society temps quite a bit too. I don't
Oh
know how to
yeah.
drink that. Well, they're probably conditioned to it now.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. It probably tastes really good to them now, but
As good as that could possibly taste.
yeah.
It doesn't sound like it would taste very good.
Like when I was 14 and I tried a Coors Light, I thought that was the worst thing ever. Now if I drink it,
Oh yeah.
it's like, what is it? Water.
I would always complain in high school when I would go to certain parties, like if they had Coors Light, I'm like, oh, this party sucks. They got Coors. Like, being an uppity 15-year-old, like I was complaining about the alcohol served at an underage party. Like I had other places to go. Like that's how you tell if it's a good party. If they don't have Coors Light, it's a good party. Which, I mean, yeah, but that doesn't really mean much because that's just the ramblings of a drunk 15-year-old.
Yeah. As long as
You right?
my voice just squacked.
Squacked?
My voice just squacked.
What does squack mean?
It's in between a squeak and a crack.
Okay, I understand that much better now. I have two more questions and then we're gonna get to the fan stuff. So in an episode there was a question, I think it was Hot Seat, where you were asked what the strangest thing that's popped into your head during sex was, and you said SpongeBob. Um, do you remember which scene from SpongeBob it was, or has it happened multiple times?
Now, I haven't had sex since SpongeBob came out, but
So what, 1999?
I think it was just yeah, I haven't had sex for like a year. Like honestly, I haven't had sex for like a year. Because of
I
COVID,
feel you,
and
brother.
like
Yeah.
I don't want to quarantine with anybody, and I just don't want to date anybody right now. But
All the
it was
prostitutes
just
are taking time off.
yeah, yeah. But no, SpongeBob did pop into my head once. And I it was like just like the voice, I think
Okay.
that was, and I did that, and it was
Yeah.
yeah, I did that, and it was not attractive.
No, it doesn't sound like it would be. Uh, the closest I've ever got was and the girl thought it was funny, and when I did it a lot was when she was using her hand, I would go, firmly grasp it in your hand. Firmly grasp it.
Which that would be probably more attractive than like.
Oh, absolutely. She's
Bro.
like, I've never loved you so much as much as I do right now. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, I used to
Now,
do a lot of stuff when I was getting it on, but I learned that most girls didn't like that.
they just prefer you to be silent rather than do that.
Yeah, there were a couple of them that liked getting goofy, but not like
Like if
when
you're
you're
gonna say something like, for a good low rate, you can get on time, go to the general state or whatever,
yeah
the general car insurance jingle,
yeah. If
or
you have
800 588 2300 Empire. Yeah. I want to talk about the tattoo. I've been holding off on it.
oh yeah.
So how many sessions did it take to get the whole thing, or did you just sit down and do it all at once?
Well, this part was like it took forever because the first guy that did the outline stopped working there, and
That's annoying.
he took a smoke break like every 15 minutes,
Oh my
and the
god.
session was only like 2 hours long. And so I came back. I like this took like three different guys, but this one was 2 8-hour sessions. So this dude was awesome. So I guess
Can you like go through it from wrist to forearm or bicep and just like point out like what each part is
yeah
for us?
yeah. So that I don't know. Okay, you can see that.
Yeah,
So this is like I should have mirrored my video because now I'm going to be pointing opposite directions.
you're good.
This is like a geometric pattern, like a rhombal tiling. So it's got like
Yeah.
the diamonds, stars, whatever. Then it breaks up, and I should probably actually stand up so it's not upside down. Just gets layered, goes into like a path into the woods. There's like a mother bear, baby bear, and then the next layer is mountains, and then goes up to the cosmos. So the whole thing kind of resembles like layers of transcendence, I guess.
Oh, cool.
And I got it after I got a felony because I was like, well, this is my life now. So
Was that after you had been to jail or before?
that was before.
Oh,
That was
wow.
when I was like, well, I was in jail for one night.
Okay.
And then after that, I was like, well, guess my life is changing. So
So when you went to jail for 2 months for the DUI, had you been on the show already at that point?
yeah, I think I was like 28 the first time I was on the show.
And how old are you now? 33?
Yep. Maybe I was 27. Maybe I was 14. No, I think I was 28, 27 or 28 or something.
And was there any particular special meaning to it, or was it just like after getting a felony, you're like, well, if I'm gonna just be a jail guy, I should look the part so I don't get my ass kicked next time I go?
It was kind of that. Um, it was kind of like, well, what should I do for my 30th birthday? I was like, well, I just got a felony. And I was going through kind of a dark time, so I was like, I just need to get something that represents like healing. What can I do? What can I get?
What represents healing? I'm gonna scar my skin and put ink underneath it.
Yeah, yeah, and it does like make you forget about it for like 12 minutes.
Do you think that you'll get more, or do you think that you kind of blew your wad on that one?
I blew my wad on this, but I've thought about it because like especially when I'm naked, like when I get out of the shower, because it only stops here.
Right.
So I get out of the shower and I'm like, well, this side of my body is cool, but this side's boring. So I think I'm
Right.
on, but
How much did the whole thing cost you?
oh god, it was probably like three to 4 grand.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a lot. Um, and that was bad. That was not a good decision for me.
Where'd you get that kind of money?
I I didn't I didn't have it. Well, I mean, I did, but like I was losing my teaching job at the time. So it was kind of like
Process of it.
I was in a weird mental state.
Yeah.
Like getting a felony just like put me in this state like, man, I'm not gonna start doing heroin. What else can I do?
Right. I want needles to be involved somehow, but I want to live
Right, yeah.
afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the only kind of needle that I've ever used. So
I'm so happy to hear that. I am so thrilled. And now we have some fan questions to finish it all off. So Sloth Jr. wants to know, how did you come to meet and collaborate with Dion?
beer and board games.
That was the first time you met him?
Actually, we haven't even been on the show together.
Huh.
So I just completely lied. It was through improv, actually. I think that's the first time we met. We did a show called The Merge, which Sean Moore um, originated, which is like stand-ups do the first part of it, and then the improvisers do improv based off of the stand-up. And I think that's the first time I met him. And we knew each other for like, I think we've known each other for like 2 or 3 years, but didn't start making music until like last month.
And you have that music video, which
Yeah.
is now famous amongst beer and board games fans.
Yeah, and we have like 8 songs that are pretty much done, pretty much recorded. Like he's got like so much energy into the project, so it's so easy to work with what he records. And just like,
For someone who smokes as much weed as he does, he seems to be very energetic.
yeah. Uh Dylan also smokes a lot of weed.
Yeah. Oh, does he now? I never would have guessed.
But he has zero energy.
Yeah. I asked him to be on the show, and I had to like put a huge disclaimer. I'm like, I know how private you are about certain aspects of your life, so I'm gonna make sure to only ask like very specific questions. I won't ask you about your family. I won't ask you about your past. I'll ask you like very basic questions. He's a very private guy, like surprisingly.
Is it really?
Like he's
Like, oh yeah, yeah. Oh, oops. We might have to edit out. He doesn't smoke weed.
oh yeah, no, of course not. No, he doesn't. He
Yeah,
has he's mentioned on the show that like when he goes to the doctor's office, he refuses to let them weigh him because he doesn't want them to know that information.
I didn't know, I didn't know that. Yeah, you just edit out everything I've ever said that's, you know.
Oh yeah, no, I mean Jason was all interesting. I'm cutting out like half of this.
I'm obviously not concerned about incriminating things. Well, anything I say about my past is a good thing. Because like if people CCAP me or look me up on the internet, they're like, "Oh, this dude's a meth head. This dude's a fucking criminal."
Yeah.
But if they actually meet me and talk to me, they're like,
What you're saying is that this interview is going to do wonders for your image.
"I hope so." Like I'm not concerned about, information about my life. Like I
Right.
would rather let people know than have them have like one split image. But it is funny when people have like one split image of me. Like people usually hate me when they first meet me because I
Really?
can.
So it's not just me.
Not anymore, but when I was younger, when I was in high school, for sure, I was a douche. I was a douche
Yeah.
because I was like sarcastic and I was cocky, uh, and people wouldn't get my humor. Like I was real weird,
Yeah.
not weird anymore.
I was like that too because of the ADHD. I was just like a very try hard kind of person. And I switched schools a lot. I went to 2 different private schools, and then I switched to public school. And I remember in one of my yearbooks from eighth grade, I was going through it recently, and there's some really odd stuff in there. But the funniest thing I found was someone saying, "You're funny, but you try too hard," that was my first year in public school. I'm like, what a great thing to read, when you're insecure and you're going through puberty. Just 1 second.
Oh, that sound just came out of your ass right now.
There's one thing I remembered that's funnier than that. And I've been dying. I want to find this guy in the future and go to his house and show it to him in person. And he'll be like, yeah. Where is it? Jeez, did I imagine this? Because it was so funny. I can't find it exactly, but someone basically wrote in here, "I fucking hate you." And
Me?
I will, no, me, in my yearbook. They're like, "You fucking suck and I fucking hate you." And I was like, what a nice thing to write in someone's yearbook.
Did
And I
they
knew he meant it too. I know the kid. And I'm like, there's no way that he was being sarcastic. He really fucking hated me.
Good for him.
I want to show up at his door one day, when he's 50 years old. Like, hey, John, you remember that time you wrote, "You fucking suck and I fucking hate you"? I have a couple more questions. Oh, this is a good one. This is from Casey and Tessie. Do Matt's comments about you ever hurt, deep in your soul, to the point of infinite sadness or hatred?
I like me personally, not that far.
But has Matt ever said something to you that's ever hurt you or nah?
No. No. Um, no.
Great. Awesome. They will be very happy to hear your very boring answer.
I mean, Matt's a really great guy, but
Yeah, no, he's super sweet.
on on camera, you just have to know the chemistry, so you can't take things personally.
Right.
And unless you're on the drunk spelling bee with
Oh my God.
Dylan.
That went through 3 different edits, and I remember each one of them because they included things and then they took them out and then included them again and then took them out. And they kept re-uploading the video because they weren't sure which parts were going to be okay to keep because they didn't know what the situation with Dylan was.
I think that was before I ever was on the show.
Yeah, that was 2013, I think.
But I remember hearing about it, so I had to look it up. And that was raw.
Yeah, and apparently Dylan got a ride from some homeless guy, which I don't know how we found a homeless person with a car, but
He probably didn't.
no.
And he doesn't smoke weed.
No, never. Speaking of drugs, Leopold wants to know, what's your favorite brand of super glue?
Elmer's for sure.
Elmer's?
I'm a basic bitch.
Yeah, you are. Basic to the extreme. If you could choose to travel back in time and die in any cataclysmic event, which would you choose?
Oh, that's tough. I would say Titanic, but if I had to die, I would not want to die on the Titanic.
Would you want to be there, though?
Yeah.
Would you be disappointed if Leo wasn't there?
A woman or a child, so I could get on the
Oh, yeah.
river.
Definitely
But
not a bellhop,
I would
though.
be there if I was there, though. But looking back on it, I wish I was there, because then they'd make the movie about me. But
Yeah, because, all the people in that movie were based on real people.
so probably Dante's Peak.
Okay. I'll have to look that up. I'll have to look that up after the
Actually,
interview.
a real event that happened, or was that just a?
Dante's Peak? I don't even know what that is.
Is that a movie with Pierce Brosnan or something?
Now I gotta fucking
Like about a
Google it,
volcanic
asshole.
explosion or something?
Dante's Peak. It is with Pierce Brosnan, Linda Hamilton, and some other people I don't know. They fight to
I
survive a
don't think
volcanic eruption.
I don't think volcanoes actually exist.
No, they're like birds. It's just a myth.
They'll only fly away.
Have you seen those pages, by the way? There's a clothing company called Birds Aren't Real, and
No, I don't think so.
they make a bunch of T-shirts that are like, if you think this is real, you're a sheep and stuff like that.
Oh, I've seen things like that. Yeah, I've seen. Is that from the same people that think birds are extremely scary, and since they evolved from dinosaurs, they're eventually going to take over humans?
No, but anyone I meet who thinks that birds are scary, I immediately stop talking to. Because I'm like, "You fucking pussy."
I don't think birds are scary because there's not any in here right now.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like I guess if you've been attacked by a bird, they'd be pretty scary to you. But
Yeah.
and we have one last question to cap it off. I think it's a pretty good one for in topic of beer organs. What impact, if any, has being filmed while drinking had on your life? This is great content.
Just play my face like this. Why can't I answer this question right now? Well, okay, so it has had an impact. I would say it's a positive impact because otherwise, if I was drinking off camera, then well, honestly, it is better. It's better to be filmed drinking on camera because then there's people that can tell you if you're drinking too much. If you're not drinking on camera, especially if you're drinking by yourself and you drink too much, you might
Like
die.
you are right now.
Or
You're
you might-
drinking a Truly, I noticed, right?
yeah. Yeah, I've been drunk for like 17 years, but
It's 4:30 in the afternoon on a Thursday, dude.
well, this is just water. I mean,
No, it's not. There's alcohol in it.
there's a little bit. There's a hint of black cherry in it.
Oh yeah, there is a hint of black cherry, but not
I mean,
like a physical one. Like it's just like the flavor.
No, I'm only drinking this because I can't go outside. It's hot as balls out right now. Like
In
it feels,
Wisconsin?
yeah, it feels like an Alaskan hooker in Arizona if I walk outside right now. That's the only reason I'm drinking one of these.
An Alaskan hooker in Arizona. I will put that on a T-shirt and I'll send it your way.
Fuck yes, thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's better to drink on camera than off camera, right? It's gotta be.
I have only done it during FolksCon and it wasn't being recorded, but hopefully you and I will be drinking together at Live FolksCon next year.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm
For
looking
sure.
forward to that.
Yeah, I accept like a 2.5 month break from alcohol, like completely. I lost like 16 pounds.
Wow.
And then I was like, yeah, this isn't fun.
Life sucks.
Yeah.
So I want to thank Brandon Jensen once again for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it seems like an hour and a half is the standard length for these now. I didn't expect to be keeping people this long, but I guess that's what happens when there's a plague going around.
Yeah, I was supposed to do disc golf today with somebody. That was the only plans I had for today. And it's too hot, so
Yeah.
that's not happening.